Right, on now to the film clip that'll take us into and across the break. A scene from a 1955 Norman Wisdom movie in which, for reasons of plot, he chases a couple of crooks through a television studio where a number of well-known TV programs of the time all seem to be going out simultaneously.
Right, and now the mixture's perfectly blended and the soufflé is ready for the oven. Marvellous. Now the oven is at 450 degrees. Oh, no! Okay, the next one.
Well, what's the new boyfriend like?
Oh, very nice and quiet. The reliable type. Unlike you.
No good will come of it. Mark my words.
That's got one of her headaches again.
I want me a lemon drink. I've been kidnapped by two bandits. Very nice too, my dear.
Who is that wretched girl? Back up. I think we'll send you to the country again. This time for a long holiday. Don't worry, sir. These two ruffians won't bother you again. I'm Inspector Fabian of Scotland Yard.
Oh, thank goodness.
I thought you'd never get here. I've had a terrible time. We've been running away.
Get out.
What are you talking about? There they are, Inspector. Arrest them. Go away. It's my duty to arrest you. I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down in writing and... Aren't you going to arrest him? The mixture's perfectly blended and the soufflé is ready for the oven. I'll just check that the oven's at the right temperature. Now, this oven should be at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, stay outside! Stay out!
Now, there's quite a few people to identify there. Obviously, quite a few were recognised. Now, Sylvia, first of all, the gentleman who had such a bad deal in the kitchen there.
Philip Harben,
Philip
the
Harben.
TV cook, yes.
Yeah.
He was always more of an actor than a cook, I always thought.
He came from a great acting family.
Well, Mary Gerald was his mother, and his father was an actor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Edwin Harben.
All right, well, now let's touch on the family that the crooks and Norman Wisdom ran through. Let's assemble them in one group. And just identify, say just the bottom row there. Now, the lady in the middle who was always asking for her 11s.
It was Gran, yes.
Yes,
Gran.
Then
Played by, you remember the actress? Nancy Roberts.
Nancy
Yeah.
Roberts. Then Ruth Dunning.
Ruth Dunning on her right.
That was Mother
Yes.
Grove, yeah.
Edwin Evans.
Edward
Father.
Evans on the other side. And then
Christopher Beanie at the
little
back.
Christopher Beanie there,
Yes.
indeed. What can you remember about the Grove family, Mick?
Well, all I can remember about the Grove family is that they were forever eating sandwiches. You know, like the Archers are forever drinking cups of coffee. Every time somebody came in, Mum, Ruth said, "Would you like a sandwich, dear?" Unbelievable.
Sandwiches and 11s. Now, some of the other people, Mac, that we glimpsed in that. Now, the fellow who said this, Detective Inspector Fabian.
Bruce Seaton.
Bruce Seaton.
One of the founders of the Lord's Taverners, yes?
Yeah. And the girl who played Norman Wisdom's girlfriend and was kidnapped and did mainly screaming through that scene.
That was Lana Morris.
Lana Morris. And then there was a gentleman who said, "Who is that wretched girl?"
That was Ronnie Wardman.
Ronnie Wardman. And what was the sort of in-joke in him saying, "Who is that wretched girl?"
Well, they were married. Or they became married eventually.
Yes, they were indeed. Mr. and Mrs. Wardman. And which only leaves, Mary, the little bit of film that ended part 1 and began part 2, the Potter's Wheel. Now, what do you remember about those interludes?
Well, they were things that were put up whenever anything went wrong or something underran or before, which was very often.
Yeah.
There were lots of them. There was the potter's wheel. There was the kitten playing with wool.
That was reckoned pretty violent.
Pretty violent, yes. There were the swans at Avon.
And then there was a windmill, wasn't there?
And then there was that windmill.
The rough sea on rocks. That was for all tragic occasions.
Oh, that's
don't you
right. Yes,
remember?
I suppose they were chosen for
Yes,
occasions. What they
yes.
chose the kitten playing
We
with
had
wool
the
for,
rough
I
sea
can't
on rocks
imagine.
for the death, when they expected the death of Winston Churchill, and we had
That's
various
right, yes. Yes, I-
contingency plans, and one of them was to go to the shot of the sea.
But you and the interludes were represented the sort of the BBC. And did you feel, or were you told, that you had a certain responsibility in that respect? No.
Yes, we did. We were told we had a responsibility. I think we were the link, weren't we, between the public and the BBC, if you
I
like.
should always remember.
Yes.
And did anybody ever try to destroy the dignity that you possess?
Did they try?
I'm afraid so, yes.
I used to get people ringing me up saying, listen to me, please, we pay your salary. And I used to say, and you don't pay me enough then.
What about you, Mayor? About Sylvia?
Sorry, I was going to say they used to try and make me giggle a lot. Well, I always used to have trouble with my cleavage in those days, and the dresses were always low, and there was one particular floor manager who used to get nuts, and he managed to throw one just to go down my cleavage, just as I had to say good evening. And I used to collapse. That's why I was always giggling.
We miss that kind of thing these days. You don't get a lot of that. Well, anyway, so far we haven't touched on the area that many present-day viewers will probably remember best from those times, children's television. So let's recapture a moment from a children's series which, according to research, quite a lot of adults used to sneak in and watch.
Battle of Hastings, sir, 1066. What? I mean, oh, sir, I wasn't asleep, you know, sir. I was just sitting here with my eyes closed, trying to concentrate.
Richard, boy, you will... Come in. Oh, excuse me, sir. Long-distance telephone call for you, Mr. Gross. I'm just having it put through to your study. Very well, Gosling. Class is dismissed.
Come on, old fat man. Class dismissed. I suppose I can stay in if I want to, can't I, Cherry? I'm just going to mug up a bit of Latin. Go over it, you know.
Mug up Latin? Fanta must be ill.
Oh, really, you fellas, if you think I've got any cake or oranges in this desk, you're jolly well mistaken.
Have you been pinching someone's tuck?
Certainly not, Wharton. I haven't been anywhere near Coker's study. And if I had, I wouldn't have touched his rotten oranges.
You fat piffler, have you got Coker's oranges?
I keep telling you I haven't, don't I?
Oh, come on, Harry. Coker will see to him later.
All right. That fooled him. Poor old Coker. I bet he wonders where his oranges are.
That was that unforgettable laugh. Now, Matt, what series was it?
Oh, that's Billy Bunter series, wasn't it?
Where did it take place?
Greyfriars?
Greyfriars School. And we saw some of the cast in that. The actor, for example, who played Mr. Quelch, the master.
Oh,
Kynaston Reeve.
Kynaston Reeve, yeah. And did you happen to recognise the lad who played Harry Wharton, the one who said, "Have you been pinching someone's tuck?"
Yes, I did. A very young edition of Anthony Valentine.
Anthony Valentine, who you remember, yes, from Colditz and Raffles and all those sort of things, was Harry Wharton. Now, I believe you did some... Bunter himself, we have
Gerald Campion, of course.
Gerald Campion, yes.
Yeah.
Who you did some programmes
I worked with Gerald, yes, on advertising magazines.
When you crossed the Great Divide.
When I crossed the Great Divide. And that's where I found out the enormous power of advertising, because he and I did a lot of food products. And one of the things I advertised were kipper fillets. And one day I was walking along the high street at home, and a woman coming towards me suddenly started, and she looked quite horrified. She said, "My God." And she then went past me, and then she came back and said, "I'm awfully sorry. I don't know who you are, but when I saw your face, I realized I'd forgotten the fish."